everybody. I'm Leonidas Tatipis. I'm a senior consultant in Priority. And in the next 20 to 25 minutes, we will try to analyze, when we're able to analyze in depth, the steps a company needs to take in order to upgrade its information security level. So, the story starts like this. Our CEO reads an article about a cybersecurity attack, how this attack goes to a company like ours and calls CISO or InfoSec officer or head of IT, if they are not having either of them, in order to ask him if such an incident occurs in our company, and we find out how the attacker gained access, who did it, what data was stored, how do we recover, how we could prevent the same attack next time. And then CISO starts wondering, do we have systems in order to answer these questions? Can I do it? So CEO says, I think we should upgrade our security. That's where the problem starts for CISO. He starts searching for security solutions, a lot of security solutions, firewalls, IPS, CM, UTM systems, so many solutions and so many vendors. All the vendors say to him, I will do all for you. I will give you a single pane of glass, and you will see everything you need in that. You don't need to do anything else. But there's no magic button for cybersecurity. So, because security costs money, and the CEO sees security as something that only needs money and never gives money. So, we must persuade him that it costs money, but it can save a lot more if you do it right. First of all, we must protect three things, not two, not one, three: confidentiality, integrity, and availability of our information. Let's see which are the steps we must follow in order to do it right. First of all is information and asset evaluation. If we do not know what we must protect, we cannot protect it. The second is we must conduct an initial risk assessment. After the risk assessment, we will have an action plan in place. Then, after implementing the action plan, we will have an update of our risk assessment, and the final step, and the most critical, is how to maintain and upgrade the security level. So, let's go for the first step. We must have a detailed record of information categories we are handling in our company. These are some categories we are handling. And also, we must create a detailed asset inventory. In the asset inventory, we must have in place operating systems, not only machines, virtual machines, etc. Even human are assets for our company. The combination of these two will lead us to a configuration management database, a CMDB. That's where we want to go. But at first, these two lists will do the work. What we should take into account in order to evaluate our information and our assets: the financial and the intangible cost. This will give you the value of every asset and every information, and will help you to have an asset categorization and information classification scheme. Let's have an example of information evaluation. We have developed an application which sells like crazy to our customers and give us a revenue of about 300,000 euros per year. The real cost, the financial cost of this application is the summary of programmers' wages, about 50,000 euros per year. We have only 2 programmers in this project. So, the real cost, the real value of this information is the intangible cost. For an asset, a storage costs about 10,000 euros to buy, to have. Intangible cost is if it fails, the company will be out of work for about 24 hours. 24 hours for our company costs about 8,000 euros. So the financial cost is the real value of this asset. In order to make it simple, to be more simple in order to conduct a risk assessment, we can put ranges in our values. So from 0 to 10,000 euros, we can put a range of 1, etc., etc. After evaluate our information and our assets, we must classify our information. We can have a classification scheme, whatever we want. Public, internal use, ABC, 1, 2, 3, whatever we want. But for every level we choose, we should have a detailed description of how we are handling information in this level. How we are sending them via email, how we destroy them, if they are in hard copy, how we are destroying them, or how we are labeling this information. The next thing we should do is the technical security assessment. First for our network, then for our apps. We've got the external security assessment and the internal security assessment. Vulnerability, black box vulnerability assessment will do the work, will give us the vulnerabilities, our network, our external part of our network is threatened of. Penetration test will give us a better picture of our threats. For the internal, black box vulnerability assessment is good. But white box vulnerability assessment is not good for our internal security assessment. Penetration test will do the work. For our apps, vulnerability assessment will not give us the real threats we are threatened of, the real vulnerabilities of our apps. Only penetration test will give us. Black box or white box. So, the third thing we should do before our risk assessment is to document how the company really works. First, we will have site survey on all company's premises, even in the toilet. Toilet would have a window, an open window, from which everyone could come into our premises bypassing all security measures, physical security measures we have in place in order to control our guests. The second thing is interview with key personnel. Why we must do that? Because non-technical vulnerabilities are vital for information security, often more than technical vulnerabilities. My company maybe will have a CM, UTM, etc., etc. But if someone could just come into my company, grab a laptop, put it in his bag, and then leave away without anyone asking him where is he going, then I do not have any skill. So, after doing these three things, it's time to conduct our first risk assessment. We can choose formal methodologies like SCRUM, ISO 27005, OCTAV, etc. Or we can build our own. But our risk assessment methodology must be documented in detail. So, we have our asset evaluation. We have our internal audit findings, and we have our technical security assessment, vulnerability assessment or penetration test findings. These three are the input for our risk assessment. The output is something like that. We have our assets, the threats, the frequency, the vulnerabilities, the value description of the vulnerability, and then the final risk size of this risk scenario. The combination of threat and vulnerability will give us the risk scenario, and the combination with the asset value will give us the final risk level. The next step for the info security officer, after conducting his first risk assessment, is to decide what are the actions that should be taken in order to treat the risks. The red risks first, and then go to the other levels. The ways we can treat a risk is apply security controls, transfer the risk to another party, avoid the risk by stopping an activity that is too risky, or by performing it in a completely different way. The last way that we can treat a risk is by accepting it. We cannot accept all the risks we are facing. So, where we will find the controls that we must implement in order to treat the risks we have in our risk assessment. These are some sources that we could find the controls that we must implement. After planning the treatment actions, we can quantify the risks in the target state. So, for every risk scenario, we have our treatment, and the new frequency description, the new value, and the new risk level. But this is something an IT could understand. The decision makers won't understand it. Because it's not something so small. It's about 100, 150 pages, so no one will bother for it if we give something like that to the company's decision makers. We must present the outcome. We must present our decision makers in a way that they can understand. We must show them the top 10 risk scenarios, or whatever we want, top 20. We must have charts for the risk levels that we are facing. We must have the proposed actions costed. And first of all, we must find actions and solutions that have no cost. Then we must say that we could do that with that way with no cost, or with that way with 2,000 euros, 3,000 euros, etc. And then the most critical part is to quantify what is the new risk level we are facing after implementing these actions we propose, in order to persuade our C-level managers to give money for these actions. After persuading them, we have a detailed action plan which must answer of what we will do, who will do that, until when, and what resources are required. We must know what are the resources we require, because if we do not have the resources, then we'll have a problem. The actions we proposed was really wrong. These steps will lead us eventually in an information security management system, because everyone must know which are the rules of the game. Everyone must know what he must do in his job, in security, of course. So we have to build policies, procedures, guidelines for everything. What is a policy? The company CEO says what he expects from information security in business terms. This is a policy. Let's move on. Access to all corporate systems is controlled. The CEO doesn't know what does that mean. But the information security officer translates CEO's expectations as this in a procedure. The company must have in place Active Directory. All employees must have personal accounts to access corporate LAMs. All systems and apps must require at least username and password authentication. A strong password policy must be enforced, etc., etc. And the IT department takes the information security officer's rules and develops guidelines on how to implement user access control in every system and every app. So, this is how we build our information security management system. The key starting point is, first of all, we must define the roles and the responsibilities of information security. Information security officer or information security team, head of IT, incident response team, head of physical security, business continuity plan and disaster recovery plan teams, etc., etc. But all of these roles must have segregation of duties. If we have conflicting responsibilities in these roles, then the ISMS we've just built, it will collapse in a few months period. So, after implementing the controls that we had in the action plan, we must update our risk assessment in order to see what is the real residual risk we are having now after implementing these controls. We could update or conduct a new risk assessment if when we have new assets, when we have new categories of information, when major changes take place, and when major incidents occur. So, the last thing we must do, the last step is when the desired security level has been accomplished. So we are going to our CEO and we are saying, listen, accomplished. I've done all we've decided in our action plan. We downgrade our risk levels, so everything is good. What we must do in order to maintain this level and improve it, we must have procedures in order to periodically test it. These procedures must include internal audit, checklists, or train internal auditors to audit our security level. Technical, physical security are the two most appropriate things to do first. Technical assessments, vulnerability assessments, penetration tests, risk assessments, third-party audits, such as certification body audits. And, of course, we should have key point indicators in order to measure and monitor our security level. So, the key to maintain and upgrade your security level is continual improvement. Threat landscapes changes every day. We must evolve our ISMS in order to face this new landscape. So, in the first step, we said we found what we must protect. In the second, which are the most important risk scenarios threaten our company. The third one is what controls I must implement to treat the risks. The new risk level is at the fourth step, and what is the residual risk we are facing now as a company. And the final step is the continual improvement. We must have in place all these measures we referred in previous slide in order to maintain our security level. This is our presentation. I will be glad in order to answer to any question you are having.
Hello. My name is Alicia. I'm from Code. You showed before in one of the slides that a procedure is actually what the interpretation of the CISO's of the CEO's requirement by the CISO. However, I think that the procedure should be more than that, should be a series of steps, should have specific tasks. What you described in the slide is more of the CEO statement is a policy statement, and the procedure part is actually the policy.
CEO is not an IT, so he says what he wants to do, in simple words. That's a policy for an ISMS. Then the CISO takes the CEO policy and translates it into tasks, into guidelines. Active Directory. We should have an Active Directory. A strong password policy must be enforced. In this place, we must explain that we have minimum password length, 8 characters. We have a lockout policy.
I don't disagree with the explanation of the policy statement. I disagree that this is a procedure. It is more a policy document rather than a procedure. I would expect from a procedure to have, let's say, a workflow, for example. Specific steps, roles, responsibilities, templates.
The procedure has roles, responsibilities, and tasks. Not all procedures, some of them have workflows. The change management procedure.
Yes.
How we implement changes in our server.
How would you describe a procedure that doesn't have a workflow, for example?
the encryption procedure could not have a flow.
Okay, I think it's we have a different concept of what a policy procedure is.
Yes.
Which is a common
yes. I think you're starting that a policy is in that level.
I'm stating that a policy statement is what you call a policy, and then the policy is what you call a procedure.
Mm-hmm.
And I have another step, which is my procedure, which has workflows, and then the guidelines, which are the same as you. I think it's a common misinterpretation of the word policy and procedure, which is not clearly defined anywhere.
Yes.
Each company.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, some standards have this.
Okay.
The approach where we decide to follow is what will lead us to build an SMS. Sometimes, if we are an IT company, the policy could be at the level of the procedure, and then more detailed procedure will be at the level of the procedure. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So how can you trust a non-IT person to define your policy? So
well, he's the man that has the money. So he will give me the money in order to build the level of security I want to build. So I must tell him first of what are the risk scenarios he's facing as a company, and if he can sleep well at nights when he knows these risks, it's okay for me. I did my work, what I was told to do. But of course, we will have some meetings with the CEO in order to build these policies.
Yeah, what I was trying to say is that sometimes it feels like you need to extrapolate, as a CISO, you need to extrapolate a lot from a single policy statement to define the policy, right?
Yeah.
You need to help your CEO to...
Of course. But
to help him
the CEO knows generic things. I want security. Sometimes it's so small. I want security in my company. He does not know what security is in IT terms, of course. Any other question? Okay, we have only 2 minutes. Okay, that's a bonus. Thank you very much.